Welcome to the Dao De Ching podcast. You're on with Chris and Alona. Here we don't just talk about the Dao, we try to feel it. Today we're starting at the beginning, Chapter 1. And honestly, this chapter alone could keep us in conversation for a lifetime. Let me just quote it here. The Dao that can be told is not the eternal Dao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gate to all mystery.
Yeah, Lao-Tsu really comes in strong right from the first words. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. It's like getting a warning label that says, what you're about to hear isn't actually what we're talking about.
Exactly. It's like trying to point at the moon. You can show someone where to look, but the actual finger that's pointing isn't the moon itself. The Tao, the real essence of life, existence, whatever you want to call it, it's beyond words. But here we are, talking about it.
Right. That's the paradox. The moment we name something, we limit it. It's like trying to describe the taste of water. Impossible, right? You have to just experience it.
Yup. And Lao-Tsu gives us the idea that there's two levels of reality happening here. The nameless, which is the source of everything, and the named, which is the world we interact with, the things we categorize, define, and separate.
Yeah, that's so interesting because we live in a world where we're constantly labeling things. Like, this is good, this is bad, this is success, this is failure. But if we drop the labels for a second, maybe things just are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where he says, ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. It's like when we stop trying to force everything to fit into our expectations, we actually see the bigger picture. But when we chase after things, all we see is what we don't have.
That reminds me of something I read in neuroscience. Studies show that the average person makes around 35,000 decisions a day.
Whoa.
I know, right? And we're constantly optimizing, trying to control outcomes. But what if that's what's making life feel so exhausting?
Right. I love that connection. It's like Lao-Tsu was onto something long before modern science caught up. He presents this radical idea through wu-wei, effortless action. Instead of micromanaging every decision, we align with the natural flow of things. Think about water. It doesn't decide where to flow. It just follows the path of least resistance.
Yeah, and modern psychology is finding the same thing. Decision fatigue is a real phenomenon that drains our mental energy. People who overthink end up making worse decisions.
And this takes us right back to the Tao's two levels of reality, the named and the nameless. We could think of it like the difference between social media and actual lived experience. One is all about labels, filters, and control, while the other is raw, unfiltered reality.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
That hits. We spend so much time curating and categorizing our online lives. But what if the most powerful thing we could do is let go?
Exactly.
Right.
Studies show the average person spends 147 minutes a day on social media.
Yeah.
Constantly shaping their image. But the Tao suggests that true power comes from not trying to control everything. Darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. The unknown is not something to fear. It's the very doorway to wisdom.
That's such a powerful shift. Instead of filling our minds with endless content, we could be creating space for something deeper.
Right. And that leads us to a real question. How do we actually live this? How do we walk in alignment with the Tao?
Good question. What would it look like in daily life?
Okay, I think we start simple. 1. Practice bare attention. Just observe. Without analyzing, without judging.
That's a tough one.
Neuroscience shows this reduces stress and enhances awareness. 2. Embrace uncertainty. Studies show that people who can tolerate ambiguity are actually more creative and resilient.
Okay,
3. Disconnect from noise. Step away from the constant stream of information. Make space for the Tao to reveal itself.
yeah. That last one really resonates. Our brains are literally being rewired by constant connectivity. Maybe the real wisdom is knowing when to unplug.
Yep, and here's the paradox. Science confirms that when people practice these 3 things, their decision-making actually improves. It's like Lao-Tsu knew what we're only now rediscovering. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations.
That's actually amazing. Modern science is basically proving what the Dao De Ching has been teaching for over 2,500 years.
Yeah, and maybe that's the most powerful insight of all. In a world obsessed with control, maybe the way forward is actually the way back.
I love that.
Maybe true wisdom comes not from striving, but from surrendering.
That certainly gives us a lot to think about in terms of how we live our daily lives.
Yeah. And in the next episode, we'll explore Chapter 2, where Lao-Tsu reveals how opposites, light and dark, strong and weak, are all part of the same dance.
Can't wait. This has been great, Chris. I'm looking forward to next time. In the meantime, don't chase the Tao. Just let it find you.